to everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. I know that the situation is really bad, so unfortunately we cannot meet in person. Plus, as I understood, the audience is interdisciplinary. So I would like to ask you to do not hesitate to ask questions during the presentation in case there are some terms that they're not easily understood because I'm in another I'm working in another domain than you. I see there is a question in the chat. No, it's not. Okay, great. So today I'm going to talk about ICT in higher education, teachers' experience during COVID-19 pandemic in France, Greece, and Mexico. So 1 year ago, with a colleague of mine, Eli Orlando Lonzano Gonzalez, we had the idea of creating a project that has to do with COVID and try to investigate teachers' experience during COVID. I'm just trying to, okay, great. So as you know, the COVID-19 disrupted the pace of higher education worldwide. More than 1.5 billion students and youth have been affected, and schools and universities closed because of that. So we were interested to examine two questions with this study. First, teachers' readiness and response. Which means their ICT training before COVID, their familiarization with ICT tools, the learning practices and the teaching format before COVID. And secondly, their experience and their presentations, which means their point of view regarding e-learning. The relationship with students, the time spent on e-learning during COVID, and the benefits and the disadvantages of e-learning. I just need to clarify that when I refer to ICT, I refer to information and communication technologies. So the participants, we have 3 countries. We have Mexico, France, and Greece. In total, we have 465 participants, 56% female participation, 43 male participation, and 1% define themselves as other. The age varies a lot. So here I'm just giving the resume of the ages, but more or less we have young students, young teachers in France, and older teachers in Greece, and then Mexico. So we have also teachers coming from public and private sector, especially in France. So the first axe, the first category of our study examines teachers' readiness and response. Regarding to ICT training before COVID, here are the results of our question. We asked teachers if they had received any ICT training before the COVID, and here we see that actually Mexican teachers have received mostly an ICT training, while teachers from Greece and France, they have in their majority not received as much ICT training. So even if we see here that Mexican teachers, they have already had an ICT training experience, in the next slide, we see that Mexican teachers, they are the ones that they are the less comfortable with ICT after the COVID than in the other countries. So while French and Greek teachers look more confident. So next slide. Here we also try to examine the learning practices. When we say learning practices, we refer to the ways, to the tools that they use in order to enhance ICT use. We see that most of the teachers, they used self-education as tool. When we talk about self-education, we refer to for example, going to internet and try to find tutorials or different tools that can help us to teach. This is something that like all the countries agreed it's the most important tool. Then we have colleagues' help in France, basically. University tutorials basically in Greece with 64%. And I want to actually tell you that we were quite impressed by the fact that family help was something very important to Mexico with 17%, while in France we had a 0% replies on family help. So yeah, but we will try to explain that later. Now, yeah, we were also interested to know the format of teaching before COVID. It's quite an important parameter in order to examine the ICT familiarization. And we see that actually Mexico is the only country where we have an 80% only distance learning before COVID. So in Mexico, we have different programs of e-learning programs in higher education, while most of the countries, they had an on-site in combination with distance learning format before COVID. Here we have some results from the qualitative data. I forgot to mention that we diffused a questionnaire with closed-ended questions, and we had also two open-ended questions, which gave us some qualitative results. So here we have the ICT experience of French teachers. We see that French teachers are more, they have developed a more positive way of seeing e-learning. So yes, more of them. They were also used to on-site, to remote to on-site teaching. In Greece, teachers see ICT as the only solution, as it devalues the courses. And also, we see that for them, the preparation is quite painful. It's something very difficult for them. But most of them, they agree on the fact that ICT saved the courses and helped them to continue the academic year. While in Mexico, the ICT experience was not very good, basically due to problems with internet connection. We see that some of the teachers, one of the teachers says that he had to pay data to some students to send them information. And also that they had to find their own ways to do a self-training. Yeah. So I continue to the second act, which is the experience and the challenges. We wanted to know if teachers spend more or less time to ICT comparing to before COVID. We see that in Greece and Mexico, teachers say that they spend more time to ICT than before, with 70% for Greece and 59% for Mexican teachers, while in France, 44% of teachers, they say that they spend less time. So,
ma'am, you have 2 minutes to conclude, please.
I'm sorry. Okay, I will try to go. Yeah, to continue. So regarding attendance, participation, and interaction of students during the courses, we see that all these indicators remain mostly stable, apart from Greece, but we will see it in the conclusions. The most important advantage of e-learning was time management and non-use of transportation, and we think that these two correlate because we save time because we don't use transportation. And the most important disadvantage is the loss of contact with students for all the countries, with 84 and 81% for Greece, 84% for France, 81% for Greece, and 50% for Mexico. The last quantitative indicator show us that in Mexico, teachers believe that ICT had a positive impact in their relationship with students, comparing to other countries. So I will quickly pass to the feelings of the teachers. To conclude, like French teachers, they have a negative opinion about the role of e-learning to their relationships with students. In Greece, they think that this is just a way to continue the courses, and they kind of adapted to it. In Mexico, we have 2 points of views. Most of them, they are quite positive with ICT, while some of the teachers, they are quite stressed. Okay, and finally, I'm here for the conclusions. We see that teachers received a basic training, but which is not enough. All the 3 countries use self-education techniques to enhance their ICT learning. Students' interaction met an important decrease during e-learning in Greece, while attendance and participation met an increase. For the fourth point is that the benefit of the ICT for most of the teachers, as I told you, is time management due to non-use of transportation on daily basis. The other disadvantage is the absence of readiness of the governments to adopt an e-learning model. And finally, the initial training shows that the highly effectiveness on teachers and students' relations. We see that because in Mexico, Mexican teachers who had received more like ICT training comparing to the other 2 countries recognize a positive effect of e-learning, while French and Greek teachers, they appear more pessimistic about it. Yeah, and I will finish here. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. I know that we are coming from different fields, but I guess that this is a quite interesting topic for us, because we all live in COVID and we all have to face e-learning. Thank you a lot. I'm ready to receive any questions.
Thank you very much. One of the interesting